And I wanted to start with my personal story. Now, I joined IT. I initially graduated from Military Institute in my first degree in psychology. And then I got, when you graduate with a psychology degree, you go to HR. So I got to HR, and I quickly realized that for me it's not the right track. And I started thinking about being a sales professional. And I wanted to start selling something that is complex, requires some intellectual process to have. And I joined Creatio. I was 24 or something like that. And my first deal was for $300. That was my big deal that I closed after a couple of months being with the company. And then at one point, and we have, back in that day, we were doing professional services. We don't do any professional services now, but we got like a small team that was doing professional services. And they have a Bible on their desk. That Bible called a PM book. And when I asked them, like, what is this Bible about? They said, no, don't touch it. You salespeople cannot put your dirty hands on this knowledge. So, and after that, I read it through, and I familiarized myself with PMI, and we are very happy to partner with PMI, and PMI is transforming a lot. So that's the reason why we wanted to close this day with a conversation about what PMI is seeing in this world of project managers, what PMI is doing in regards to move into the citizen development world, and how is this combined. But I guess I will start, Gary. We already asked Sam a few questions, so we'll probably go with you. Talk to us about those transformations that are happening with PMI, and where, you guys own this massive community of project managers. So where do you invest your time?
Yeah, thanks. So first, it is a massive community, right? It's 700,000 plus global PMI members, right? We operate in 200 plus countries through chapters. There's 315 plus chapters. So what we're always sensing and looking to respond, and that's both at the individual level and the organizational level. So what you hear is, well, the relevancy. Well, I'm a PMBOK, trained classical project manager, and there's this world of Agile going by, or there's these new things that are coming out, and our organization's changing. I don't know how to change. So we took it upon ourselves to say, well, we need to be at the forefront of that and really be able to do that. So we started to look into getting into the Agile space. So we have a group called Disciplined Agile, right? And it's a great toolkit into how to pick the right kind of way of work, if you would, towards project delivery, right? We've gotten into wicked problem solving, right? So how do you look at big, hairy challenges that an organization or a team may face and go about solving that? We look at organizational transformation and the role that the project manager plays in that. So in essence, we start looking at building out a number of different skill sets, right? So it's not just about one side or another. It's really, well, we can run a marathon, we can sprint, we can solve wicked challenges. So it becomes a decathlete, if you would, right, to look at where we are taking the project management profession. But it's building upon that baseline of the PMBOK and the PMP. I can't tell you how many organizations are coming to us now with non-PM folks that they go, hey, you've got that sort of that beginner certification. We'd love to get those folks on a journey towards that, because some of this came up in the Great Resignation conversation, right? We want to attract and retain people. So all of that, and it certainly plays into where we're going with citizen developer as well.
Good stuff. And Sam, I know that you've joined, when did you join PMI? It was like a year ago?
A year ago, yeah.
Yeah. And you got inspired with this new program of citizen development, right? And Sam is heading up the citizen development program. And also, just to share with the audience a little bit of another personal story, the way how I got introduced to PMI and the starting point for the partnership. We were having a briefing with Forrester, and Forrester asked us, with whom from thought leadership community do you work? We kind of name a few organizations and then and then the lead analyst from Forrester said that, look, you have to talk to PMI. And we got introduced, and then I published this video, and we got connected. So PMI is super well known now, after 1 year of kind of starting official practice, and recognized as a thought leader in the space. But talk to us, Sam, how did you get engaged with this concept, and what is that inspires you to pursue it?
Sure. So I guess taking a step back and thinking about why did PMI start a citizen developer practice, right? The project management profession, PMP, core project management, but projects are evolving, right? Projects are evolving, technology is becoming more core. Gary's mentioned about how we're evolving as a company. So we, a couple of years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, did quite a long research project, which was interviewing about 1,000 people, a lot of which were IT executives, on citizen development, right? Where was it going? Is it just going to be a fad, or is this something that's going to be here to stay and actually going to drive significant opportunity? And the overwhelming consensus was yes, this is something that's really going to have a big impact on the globe. And we talk a lot about the shortage of software developers, right? But forget that for a second. It's about the accessibility to technology. New consumer groups, lowering the barrier to use tech is a game changer. Irrelevant if we didn't have a shortage of developers, right? Forget that for a minute. 500 million apps. We've got to do something different. The two things that came out of that study: one, what was the industry standard? What was the best practice? And two, if I want to do this, what's the training that's going to allow me to scale this in my business? So what we did is we created the PMI Citizen Developer Program, which is really underpinned by the CD Canvas. And the CD Canvas is based on 5 stages of maturity, which Arjun's just done a fantastic presentation about, which is the PMI Canvas. And I use a car analogy. For those that know me will have heard this car analogy all the time, but I don't know a lot of you in the audience. So if you think about citizen development and no-code, low-code, right, you've got a lot of technology in the market. Creatio being one of the leaders, lots of tech, new companies coming in every day. So there's so much technology choice, and technology is now more accessible and powerful. If you link that to the car market, right, you've got 500 cars in the market. And what happens as consumers is citizen developers are a new driver. It's a new persona, right? New people consuming this tech. You get access to the car, you get given a car manual. And the car manual teaches you about the car, right? The features and the functions. But what a car manual doesn't teach you is how do I actually drive this car safely from A to B without crashing? So essentially what PMI is built is the understanding and the theory behind driving safely and the understanding of the highway code. Because if you think about linking this to no code, and low code is that shadow IT, a car's crashing in the market when they get to a roundabout. If we can mitigate that, then we actually control the risk conversation, which is really the number one conversation that we all talk about here.
Yeah, and then, and to extend your analogy, if low code and no code is driving by cars, then professional development only would be like trying to ride a horse, right? It's just way too slow. And you touched upon the citizen development persona, right? Let's probably try to uncover that. So how do you guys define a citizen developer? Like, who is that? Gary, probably we'll start with you, but like when, say, your customer or your partner asks you, so like you guys constantly talk about citizen developer, and we started seeing even job postings on this, but who is a citizen developer? How would you define that?
Well, it's somebody who wants to make the use of the technology that they have at their fingertips, right? And so when we look at our core constituency, our project managers, they're seeing that in their organizations. I mean, many of them lean towards the IT sector, so they're already seeing it. They're like, very intellectually curious people who are actually going out and learning, going on our learning journeys, right? Because they really want to be able to be at the forefront of that. Right? But you take it beyond that. It's also a chance. I mentioned 700,000 members. We've got a chance to bring in a whole nother community into that.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that's what we are, that's really one of Sam's big charges is how do we bring in a whole nother community into the already existing group that makes up our, our membership.
That's cool. So Sam, imagine that you're writing down a job description for a citizen developer. What skill set you would put there? Or what qualities, I guess, just to make it a little bit easier question for you.
So I am going to answer your question, but in a slightly different way. So at PMI, we talk a lot about change makers.
You can just ignore my question.
I will, don't worry, Andy. I normally ignore your questions, and I check it. So we talk a lot about change makers, right? That actually everyone can affect change. And what is technology? Technology is a catalyst for us. It's an enabler for us, right? So the concept of a citizen developer is someone without any coding experience whatsoever to be able to make change happen faster leveraging technology. So I would say on a job description, and by the way, we're seeing a lot of jobs now where actually PMI citizen developer courses are actually part of a job description, right, or criteria. You need to be curious. You've got to be curious. You've got to have a desire to want to leverage new technology. And like you said, understand the business, right? If you own a process, like, I've just been doing a talk about automation. If you own a process in your business that you understand, but actually you see opportunities for technology to improve it, then improve it. But you've got to be curious and have the willingness to do that, right?
Yeah.
So it's moving away from status quo. Status quo, like, don't be a citizen developer if you just want to do the same thing over and over again, right?
Yeah. Curiosity will be certainly on the top of the list, right? In regards to extending that, I was given a great example. It's super simple, but a great example is that, we, specifically in large organizations, but even in smaller, we have a lot of those people that have built some complex Excel files, right, with lots of calculations, or some complex Access databases. So that's a prototype of a citizen developer, right? Because what do you need to know, and what kind of a skill set do you need to have? You need to understand a process, because without that you wouldn't be able to do that. You need to understand how all of this is connected, and how to take a business problem or a business process and put it into kind of a structure. Of course, Excel or Access is not modern tools for that, but this might be like to give you a hint and to start thinking that process. That's probably the first step. And by the way, we're also monitoring on a monthly basis amount of job postings on Glassdoor and some other websites, and we start seeing more and more citizen development job postings with SaaS, which kind of explains that this becomes a really full-blown and fully organized profession. Okay?
Yeah, and just one point to add on that. So there are a lot more jobs where the people will be carrying out citizen development activity that aren't called citizen developers, right? Every company have their own flavor. Citizen development is becoming a recognized global term. The more that Forrester and Gartner and companies like PMI talk about it. But I can tell you now that there will be thousands and tens of thousands of jobs where it might be a data analyst, and that one of the bits of criteria is, do you know Creatio? Can you build in technology, right? So I think we've got to be looking outside the box. Eventually, citizen development is going to be like what it was for Excel, right? It's going to be, you're going to need to do it, and it's going to be a key differentiator in the job market.
Cool stuff. So now, I guess just to put it further, right? So at some point of time, you guys contributed for creating a community of project managers, right? So lots of people actually have a few really die-hard kind of fans of PMI. Like we were discussing that we're going to have this discussion with you guys, and they go, we need to come over, etc. So you guys created this big community, and you created that by providing a training, by kind of guiding them, and by giving them tools to be successful at their job. Now, if you think about citizen development, right? So as this profession or this role is being formed, right? So what type of training, certification, what type of enablement we need to do to kind of help those people to understand how to make their life more successful from a professional point of view? So Gary, probably we can start with you.
Yeah, so it starts with, hey, what is the right type of application to that is ripe for citizen development, right? Should something, this is a big, hairy project, I should really put that over into the IT department. So there's that piece. And then how do we train folks and give them the tools to know, okay, hey, yeah, I understand the governance aspect. I understand what security concerns may be. How does the company actually bring some flavor into that, right? So it becomes de-risking the citizen developer application as it goes on into into production.
And so just on that topic, so on the certifications, right? So we talked a bit about PMI, and I've given my car analogy, but you're probably still thinking, well, what is it you actually do? So for the mass market, about getting the first introduction to citizen development and what it actually is, we've created an online foundation course, which is 90 minutes, that teaches you about citizen development, right? It teaches you, it links it back into the canvas, and we've also got a book, 300-page book. It's like the holy grail behind citizen development. Andy kindly did a review on it, and suddenly it's gone a bit nuts. So obviously you've got a big following. So that's the foundation course. Now, it's not going to teach you everything that you need to know about CD, and suddenly you're going to have this great big COE, and you're going to be amazing, right? But it gives you a really good foundation. The practitioner course, which is the next one, it's a bit longer, 6 hours. It's a micro-credential, all online, all digital. It's for people that are building. And it's not just about building an app. It's how do you build it in the right way that can go into production. So things like security, governance, etc. Right? So it's not about the technology. We don't care about what car you drive. We teach you things away from the technology layer, the people, the process, the culture, that kind of stuff. And then the last one we have is what's going to be called Business Architect, which I'm really excited to be launching in the next couple of months, which is really focused around the operating model for citizen developer to be successful, right? The integration into an organization, and then the maturity. So those three things are going to be really focused around people who aren't necessarily going to be building the apps, but more strategically, maybe transformation leaders, program leaders who are looking at how does citizen developer and my practitioners be more effective. Yeah. So it really is that kind of education suite of vendor agnostic training and standards that we're delivering to the market. And it's becoming the standard, right? So which is great.
Yeah, and I wanted to support this and promote it a bit. All our customers and partners and everyone who is connected somehow to the Creatio community, I strongly encourage you guys to go through those classes. They're super accessible, so it's super simple to get started, and it's a really nice, strong program on citizen development. And if you don't know how to start, talk to us. We'll get you guys connected, and you can either get this class through us or direct us through PMI. And by the way, that's a great segue to introduce our partnership. So let's also just talk a little bit more about how we're connected and how our partners and customers can take advantage of the partnership between PMI and Creatio.
So if there's one takeaway from this, PMI takes risk off the table. Whether that's for a global organization delivering services like KPMG, or if it's an organization leveraging Creatio technology, we take risk off the table because we teach the guiding principles behind how you do this properly. What I love about this partnership, and we've been trying to get this sorted for a long time, right? And we've done it. And the partnership's special, right? Because we're all here today, we've got tomorrow, we've seen the technology. Creatio is a really special company. And the chief growth officer is next to me, who's obviously going to take all the credit for this, but the growth and the scale in such a short period of time where they've taken this market, sometimes you just got to sit back and go, wow, right? But when you combine the leading technology with the standards, you do provide freedom to create, but you provide freedom to create in the right way. Right? And that's the thing. You can have freedom and you can create whatever you want, guys, but if you don't do it in the right way, it's just going to be another science project. That's what I love. Technology and standards is the dream.
Yeah. So I guess getting to the end of our session, we went through lots of material and content, and thank you so much. You guys are the strongest. You kind of held it to the very end, so we sincerely appreciate that. If we to leave our audience with one piece of advice, to say, no, that's one-liner that you need to remember, like from all of today's day and from all the presentations, this, I believe, is one-liner and the key takeaway. What would that be? So perhaps you guys want to have a minute or a second on the citizen development, on no-code development, but I can start with myself, just to give you a little bit of time to think about that. So I would say everyday delivery. Like when we don't have much time. We feel like we have a lot of time, but when we were going today through those pictures that Alex and the team was presenting on the stage, we done this event in Miami in 2019. Like that was 3 years ago. 3. It felt like this. So we don't have time. And the major takeaways that I wanted to leave you with is, guys, we have to realize all the values, all the business values, all the dreams now. And no-code and low-code allows you to do that. So that's the reason why we're so passionate about it, because you can take this value. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't settle for tomorrow. Don't wait another month, because no one predicted that COVID would lock us down from ability to meet each other. No one would predict that. So that's why value today is much better than doubled value tomorrow, because you can realize it much quicker. That's for me.
Okay. Start small, think big. Innovation done correctly.
That's good.
We're in a disruptive world, and this room has a chance to really contribute to the positive way that we disrupt the world. So let's do it.
Yours was definitely bigger and better than mine, Gary.
That's very philosophical. Okay?
Yeah.
Round of applause to our excited
Thank you, guys.
PMI.